The head of Chaos, or the World Economic Forum, whichever you prefer. He really is like a get smart villain. Doesn't even qualify as a Bond villain. Klaus Schwab, I'm talking about, announced officially he is turning over the reins to the Norwegian dude who's basically been running the day-to-day operations anyway. The 86-year-old Schwab will step down as the head of the World Economic Forum, where the enlightened class jets off to a conference in Davos and talk about putting us all in 15-minute cities where you will own no property and be happy and, eat the bugs.
Every meal you make, every bite you take, every single lunch with a crispy crunch, you will eat the bugs.
Yeah, also a pop artist, Klaus Schwab. Because saving the planet from the human beings is a big objective of the World Economic Forum. Here's another instant classic from Klaus Schwab. So he's maybe stepping down just in time, since we're scheduled to have an election in November that will soon not be necessary. Klaus Schwab in Davos, chatting about the end of elections with a real Bond villain, Sergey Brin, Google.
The technology now is, and digital technologies mainly have an analytical power. Now we go into a predictive power, and we have seen the first examples, and your company very much involved into it. But then the next step could be to go into a prescriptive mode, which means you do not even have to have elections anymore, because you can already predict, and afterwards you can say, why do we need elections? Because we know what the result will be.
Yeah.
I mean, honest to God. And he's stepping down, but guess what? He's going to move into a role as chairman of the board of trustees.
Yeah,
he's
whatever.
86.
Emeritus. Dr. Robert Malone had a good piece on Schwab. It was kind of interesting, and the handing over of the reins. That this Norwegian dude who's been running the day-to-day that I mentioned, that he maybe will lower the profile on the WEF. Don't make it such an easy target for criticism.
Why do we even need it?
Well, we don't, but that's not the point. It's not just we need it; it's they want it, because it's a gathering of globalists who want to dominate human existence, and frankly eliminate the existence of a lot of humans too while they're at it. So the Malone's perspective was maybe that Davos, that man in Davos deal, will be quieted down. They'll start to work on influencing sort of second-tier countries in terms of political and economic might, because they've already done such a good job of infiltrating the halls of power in the dominant countries, including our own, with this mentality and ambassadors of this mentality that I just described, the central planning set, and the John Kerrys of the world, good example of this. And so they're going to go, sort of work next level and be more subterranean. It's kind of interesting because this is a small group of people that are, moths to the flame of political power, and they do need to be monitored. I actually like the Davos conference just for that reason, just because we can get public interviews of these people and hear what they really think to a large extent, and you can get clips of Klaus Schwab and Sergey talking about the elimination of elections. That's sort of useful to know that this sort of activity is afoot. You know what I mean? For more on this and other matters economic, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, author of Govzilla. Steve, thanks for joining us. Commentary on the passing of the torch at the WEF?
Good morning, guys. I mean, look, I'm just very surprised by your selfishness. Yeah.
Yes, of course.
I mean, it sounds to me like you're one of these people who does not want to give up your air conditioner. It sounds like you're not going to give up your SUV. It sounds like you want to destroy the planet. Don't you care? I mean, come on. Now, I have to say, I'm going to make a confession. I'm kind of one of those moths to the flame of power, too. I want to be like Dr. Evil. I want to make all the decisions. But these people are serious as a heart attack. They really are. I mean, they really do believe, the solution to climate change is to take away everyone's air conditioner. And by the way, does that make any sense? If they're right and the climate and the planet is really warming, then wouldn't we need more air conditioning, not less? I mean, I don't understand the logic of some of this stuff, but they do. Remember, we did that study of elites' opinion. We talked about this about 3 months ago on your show. Elites in the United States, those are people who graduated from the Ivy League schools and, yes, Northwestern and schools like that, people with advanced degrees, people who live in cities. They believe that the average person should not be able to make those decisions. We need really, really smart people who went to Ivy League schools to make decisions for them.
There's no question, which is why I say, I mean, you got to pay attention to, what they're up to, because they've infiltrated the halls of power, and we see this playing out in terms of real policy. I mean, just another one. We've talked about climate change, but this just out this morning. Biden just canceled another $7 billion in student loans. It will affect around 160,000 people with an average debt of $35,000. The recipients of this debt relief, it's actually socialization of their debt to the people who didn't incur it. Public service workers like teachers, nurses, and law enforcement officials. So who could be against that, Steve?
Yeah. So, I mean, look, this is basically passing out money before an election. Unfortunately, you guys in Illinois aren't going to get a lot of this gravy, because it's all going to Wisconsin, it's going to Michigan, it's going to Pennsylvania and Arizona. Gee, I wonder why he wants to pass out money in these states. I mean, talk about trying to buy votes. This now brings the total, by the way, to $150 billion, if you're my money, to pay for other people's student loans. It is, I've never heard any logical explanation of why taxpayers, I mean, Amy, is there any logical explanation for why someone who's a deadbeat and doesn't pay their student loan should have to?
All paid our student. We all paid our student loans. That taught us responsibility and money management and how to balance a budget and how to be an adult.
Now you have to pay twice. You have to pay your own student loan and somebody else's student loan. And, I used the term deadbeat on Fox News the other day. Oh, my God, the left went completely nuts.
Really?
Oh, these aren't deadbeats. I thought the definition of a deadbeat is somebody who doesn't pay their loan.
Right.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, I guess the Supreme Court's decision from, I guess was it 22 now? 2 years ago already? I guess that Supreme Court decision ruling that Biden didn't have the authority to do it, I guess that doesn't matter.
So, wait, it's worse than that. I mean, I want people to understand this because, the last time I checked, Dan and Amy, we have 3 branches of government. Maybe I got that wrong. I know the left thinks we have 4 branches because they have the regulatory state. But so you have now a policy that Joe Biden has put in place where it's a spending program, right, when you're spending money to forgive people's loans. So, Dan and Amy, where does the spending power in the Constitution rest?
The power of the purse, I believe, is in the House and Congress generally. Yeah, right.
The House and the Senate.
I believe.
You got it. You
Right.
had civics course. Okay, now here's the second question. Does the president have the authority to overrule the Supreme Court?
I mean, apparently yes. Apparently, yeah. It's a silent clause in the Constitution.
Can you imagine if Donald Trump did that? I mean, they would have people with pitchforks in the streets. He's a dictator. Who's the dictator here, folks? I mean, so $150 billion, but that's nothing. I mean, we're running $1.5 trillion deficit. So what's another $150 billion?
And by the way, for those not enjoying the debt relief, they're going to probably not enjoy the seeing the fact that this is being piled onto them. In addition to trying to get by, interesting charts that were released this week. Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis comparing the increase in household net worth under Trump to under Biden. Under Trump, adjusted for inflation, household net worth increased just under 30%. Under Biden, it's basically flat. It was largely underwater, and it's basically flat. Boy, but that really brings it into focus, and this is what people are feeling when they're going to the grocery store and the pump in particular.
So you're making a really important point. By the way, we had that story in our hotline yesterday. I hope all your listeners are getting our Committee to Unleash Prosperity hotline. You can get that for free, everyone. I'm not selling anything. There's no Biden inflation here. Just go to committee.unleashprosperity.com and sign up. But this is a really important point because Biden's running around, look at Dow 40,000. Whoa, this is awesome. A runaway stock market. Now, look, I love Dow 40,000. I love a booming stock market. But if you look at the returns on stocks over the last 3.5 years that Biden's been to office, they're up about 20%. Well, guess what? Guess how high inflation is over that period? Just about 20%. So adjusted for inflation, there have been almost no gains at all in the stock market.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and this is, in part where what explains Biden's approval numbers in terms of being under 40%. I mean, this is these pocketbook issues amid everything else, the chaos of the Trump trials and open borders and stuff. Right. But at the end of the day, the people living their everyday lives and not being able to afford their everyday lives the way they did a few years ago is the watershed.
Well, look. Amy is the soccer mom here, and so you're the one who buys the groceries.
Oh yeah.
So here's the thing: if your pay goes up by 20%, but your costs go up by 20%, are you better off? I mean,
well, how about if your pay doesn't go up by 20%, but the costs go up by 20%?
Exactly. That's if you get a 20% raise. And by the way, the things that you have to buy, Amy, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your mortgage, you have to pay your utility bill, you have to pay your groceries, you have to buy gas. Those are not up 20%. Those are up like 30%.
And then Biden's going to release 1 million barrels of oil from the reserve to ease gas prices as a way to buy what? More votes,
of course.
right?
Of course. And by the way, did you know that we now have the lowest amount of oil in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve since it was created in the 70s? Pretty soon there's not going to be one drop of oil left in there.
Steve Moore, Govzilla author, economist. Steve, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Okay, good. Have a great week. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Everyone knows the old saying, nothing lasts forever. Well, whoever said that obviously never bought a timeshare. Not only do your maintenance fees and assessment fees go on forever, they go up forever. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Over 10 years ago, I was a timeshare salesman. But once I saw the dark side of the business, I quit. I started helping folks get out of their timeshares. Since then, we've helped over 30,000 families by getting them out of bad timeshares. If your timeshare agreement goes on forever, if you were told timeshares are a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, you have questions, we have the answers. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley now for your free